Good afternoon, class. Welcome to Survey of Muggle Objects and Artifacts. I am Professor Anton Papatonius. Today we shall begin an introduction to the examination of the Muggle. Before we launch into this fascinating field of study, allow me to stem any rumor here and now. While the study and tolerance of Muggle culture was briefly outlawed in the unfortunate time period preceding the Battle of Hogwarts, such restrictions have been eased in recent years. There are, of course, limitations. For instance, it should come as no surprise to any student of this school that enchantment of Muggle artifacts by underage wizards is prohibited unless supervised. While much of Muggle culture and practice remain a mystery to wizard kind, we do endeavor to understand our terrestrial neighbors better. We shall start simply by examining an object and the materials enclosed within, in the hopes that we may find a window into the world of the Muggle. I think you will find, through a certain amount of exacting and empirical study, that Muggles are worthy of our friendship, and indeed our admiration. The more I study them, the more I realize that their character and ingenuity are revealed through an existence in which wizardry is not a component of daily life. Let us begin thus. Recently I was delivered by Muggle Post a small package. It is an object of a certain amount of mystery. I have included here a full inventory and my methodology in examining it. Slide 1, please. Here we have the parcel unopened. The address has been obfuscated. As you can see, Muggles do not have the benefit of sending packages by owl, and so they have devised a rather ingenious, if slightly inefficient, method of transporting objects and correspondence to one another. This is referred to as the postal system. Here we see that the sender holds the recipient in a certain amount of esteem in that the package has been sent first class, twice. The object is enclosed in a material called corrugated cardboard. This material, without the benefit of any magical reinforcement, is actually very light, inexpensive to produce, and relatively durable. The sender demonstrates a certain amount of playfulness in covering the package with glyphs that indicate knowledge of recent events in well-known wizarding history. All of them appear to center upon events that occurred while the well-known auror Harry Potter attended Hogwarts. Next slide, please. Weasley is our king refers to Ronald Weasley, once a student at this institution and keeper of the Gryffindor Quidditch team. This slogan became a song used as a pejorative, drummed up by Slytherins attempting to put Weasley's concentration off his game. Eventually, Weasley's friends and teammates co-opted the song at the completion of Weasley's successful Quidditch season in 1995. Flipping the box over, we find a humorous play at the summoning charm, probably indicating that the intended party may have been waiting in great anticipation for this gift. Here we find the sigil for the legendary Deathly Hallows. While the exact role of these storied objects in the demise of he who shall not be named has never been fully established, it is believed that the Hallows did serve as a key factor in the late stages of the war against the Death Eaters. As previously mentioned, it is forbidden in most cases for Muggle objects to be enchanted. Therefore, practical means, in this case a Muggle multi-tool, was employed for the breaking of the seals on the object, lest any residual magic apply itself to the unknown objects inside. Here the box has finally been opened. Inside is a short letter detailing the sender's intentions, and also indicating that further gifts may arrive soon. It is worthwhile to note that the printing on the letter was not done with a wand or by hand, but by a machine known as a printer. This mechanical means of printing is nearly as fast as magical dictation. It is intriguing also to note that the sender intends to send a second package by owl. This indicates some acquaintance with wizarding methodology. We cannot know for sure, of course, because the sender has not indicated his or her identity, signing only the intriguing nom de plume, X. The wrapping of the objects is unusual. Initially, I postulated that these pages were actually cleverly reproduced prints. However, a careful examination of the font selection, kerning, and paper quality indicate that these are, in fact, original pages removed from the 7 bound volumes of the historical account of the early life of Harry Potter. The top of the object contains several glyphs. The first is a lightning bolt, a reference to the curse scar that was visible on the forehead of Harry Potter, a pair of round spectacles, much like those worn by Mr. Potter in his youth, and a heart. Considered together, these symbols seem to indicate a powerful affection for the history surrounding Mr. Potter's life and times. Once removed, we discover that there are several small sections of illuminated text. Originally, I thought these might be clues to the contents of the box. At this point, however, I believe them to be selections made by Mr. or Mrs. X, possibly for the purpose of academic annotation. The practice of wrapping a gift in the pages of a bound book would be considered unusual, at the least in Muggle terms. But it does show a certain amount of creative and slightly rebellious forethought on the part of Mr. or Mrs. X. At any rate, it did add a sense of anticipation and mystery to the gift, which may have been its true intent. On this point, I can only speculate at this juncture. However, I would like to take this opportunity to remind students that removing the pages of any Hogwarts library book remains one of the only capital offenses at Hogwarts. Should you be the unfortunate party discovered in this practice, Mr. Filch will, rather gleefully, hang you by your thumbs for an unspecified amount of time in a dungeon below the grounds. Now, on to the objects enclosed within. First off, we find that Mr. or Mrs. X has included a gift for my wife, a bracelet. It is handmade in the colours of Ravenclaw House, home of those at Hogwarts who are particularly clever. Along with my illustrious and talented wife, Corinne Papatonius, previous Ravenclaws include Professor Phileas Flitwick and wand maker and lorist Garrick Ollivander. Included on the bracelet is a small silver charm in the shape of a witch's hat, shown in detail here. Delightful. Here we finally reach the main object of the package, a simple black box. Is this reason for caution? Possibly. However, not in this case. After carefully opening this parcel with an apostle, we find a polyjuice flask. A thorough examination shows that the flask has been properly prepared for the storage of polyjuice. Students are reminded that unsupervised use of polyjuice potion at Hogwarts is prohibited. We need only refer to the well-documented case of Hermione Granger, an immensely talented student at the top of her class when she attended Hogwarts. Through an unfortunate selection of her polyjuice potion's catalyst, she turned herself into a human-sized cat. Wizards of age, however, find many uses for the polyjuice potion. In my case, I find it particularly useful to disguise my appearance when walking amongst the Muggles and studying their behavior. After examining these objects, I did rewrap the entire assembly so that my wife could open it herself and have the same delightful experience. And so, Mr. or Mrs. X, know that your Muggle objects will be enjoyed and used thoroughly by our household and with our thanks. This concludes our lesson. Your assignment for next week's session will be to find and examine a Muggle object, and to write 2 scrolls of observations that tell us what may be learned about Muggle culture from the object of your choice. Good day, students, and well done, Mr. or Mrs. X, wherever and whoever you are.